So a lot to do. All of it at 215-592-9494. Richie Rich.
Hi, Joe.
Hello there, Johnny.
The Looney Tunes song, you know, the one that goes do 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 do. You know that one?
Very good job by you.
The Looney Tunes song.
Yes.
The title is called "The Merry-Go-Round Broke Down."
It's not a bad title.
It
for
actually
how
is so apropos. Like,
right?
it's so fitting.
I think that's solid.
Totally.
I think that's really solid. You know what's also solid? Everything about last night. Everything. I mean, listen, I was going to say it's like a perfect game, and then I realized, well, technically Zack Wheeler gave up some hits, and technically the Phillies aren't still batting. Like, Seltzer would be a perfect game if they're up 200-0 right now.
It's
200-1 right now.
I'm going to do something you hate. It's quote-unquote a perfect game.
Exactly.
There you go.
All right, so without actually being able to be perfect, it was essentially perfect. I mean, if you really break it down, and again, want to hear from everyone, if you were at the ballpark, listen here on WIP, watch on TV, I mean, I thought the Rhys stuff was awesome. And, you know, when I say perfect, I'm referring to the fact that he gets multiple ovations, big ovations. He said and did all the right things. Phillies win. Don't lose sight of that. I don't think anyone's lost sight of that. Phillies, by the way, get back to having now tied for the best record in baseball. Zack Wheeler was great, absolutely great. But Rhys Hoskins also hit a home run, which I thought was cool. He gets a combination of reaction to that, including a lot of people cheering, in a moment when the Phillies held a 3-0 lead. So it didn't feel like exactly like a threat as Zack Wheeler was on his way to 7 innings. Rojas gets a hit and throws out Rhys. The significance should not be lost on anybody. Rojas was like the main guy that replaced Rhys Hoskins. Harper to first, Schwarber to DH, Marsh from center to left. Who's the one person that got inserted? Johan Rojas. What did he do last night? RBI single, threw out literally Rhys Hoskins, slow, Rojas, good defensively at the plate. I mean, and then, you know, again, the win. So look,
it was just fitting.
It was fitting.
That was fitting. That was the reminder for those who were saying yesterday, oh, we can't do without Rhys. We are doing without Rhys, and Milwaukee's doing great with Rhys, and that was super to see. I thought last night was just so fitting.
It's a good word,
and it was appropriate, and there was so much to celebrate last night.
Yeah,
and we beat a really good team. That's number one at the top of the list. That does matter to get right back on top of all of Major League Baseball with the record. The Brewers are a legitimate team, and we confidently and completely outplayed them, except for their DH. That's so, and that was cool. It was awesome to see Rhys again, and it did my heart good.
Me too,
that Rhys is doing well, that he had his 10th home run of the year despite missing time. You know, he just came back off the IL to play against us. So he's having success, and it was Wheeler's. Yeah, I know it was Wheeler's 102nd pitch of the night.
Yep.
He tried to get a fastball by him, and Rhys shut it down. You know, failed at getting the fastball by Rhys. It was okay. It made it 3-1,
Yep.
and you know, it was the only scoring that Milwaukee could muster all night, and it felt so completely appropriate. And again, we were reminded that what we've done here, putting the precedence on better defenders, it's the right move.
Well,
we're a better team. The replacement, as you said, Rojas in the outfield, it threw him out at home plate.
Yeah.
It was a visual reminder that we are on the right path as a team. And unfortunately, despite the fact that we love Rhys Hoskins, it left him in previous seasons. You know, we're not going to move forward in future seasons with Rhys, but we love him and we miss him. And last night was reassuring that he's going to be fine too.
Well, listen, I agree, John, with where you're at with all that. I mean, I just thought it was a remarkable night. And by the way, an evening where I hope it's not lost on anyone to celebrate the Philadelphia sports fan. Us, all of us. Because I thought it was an exemplary night for those that were at the ballpark to demonstrate passion, to demonstrate, kind of love. I mean, depending on how you want to phrase it, I guess. But you know what I'm talking about. I mean, the love of a player and also as a person.
It was so cool.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
when he was introduced,
appreciation,
and everything stopped. The world stopped, and it was appropriate.
So let's listen
the way that he was rewarded, the way that he was reminded how much we care about him.
Let's listen to some of the moments that stood out, and there's a bunch, and we'll play many of these throughout the show, but let's get to some of the big moments from last night in particular. And again, all of this you can react to at 215-592-9494, as Zack Wheeler, obviously did his thing, and the bats did enough, and the defense, did enough, and obviously the JT play was great and the whole deal. But let's listen to some of the Rhys-related stuff. Here is the moment he is introduced. His first at bat of the game, and this was a really, I thought, really cool moment at the ballpark.
Now batting for Milwaukee, number 12, designated hitter, Rhys Hoskins.
I mean, that's loud. There's a lot going on here. And by the way, this goes on and on and on and on. And, he's tipping his cap and, hitting his chest in appreciation. And him to the crowd to him to his former teammates, Bryce Harper to him.
Shout out to the umps for letting it happen.
Big time.
Seriously, because that was something going in. It's like the pitch clock, the whole thing, and the ump was like, there's a moment, have a moment. I thought that was neat.
Great. And by the way, the game ended up finishing 3 minutes before 9 o'clock or something. Yeah. It was as short. I actually was going to bring this up today. Hey, these games are stretching a little longer. Have you noticed? These games, we're not quite as tight as we were. And then last night was tight.
Well, I think you based it on Taiwan games.
Maybe. Yeah. You're right. No, for real. That is a thing.
Right, it's a thing.
And it makes a difference.
I can guarantee you Taiwan games take longer than Zack Wheeler games.
I guarantee it, too. Right. It's the same as Vince Velasquez.
No, it's similar.
It was the same concept.
That's right. All right, so 215-592-9494. You want to react to that moment. Let's get to the Rhys home run. Obviously, the Phils at this point already had a 3-0 lead. Wheeler was getting near the end of his outing. This is the 7th inning. I mean, I didn't
pitch 102.
Yeah, I didn't feel like this was a threat. I was happy for the guy. I mean, it would have been different if, it's a 2-2 game and this makes it 3-2. I get it, but that's not what it was. It was 3-0. It makes it 3-1, and Rhys Hoskins in his return hit a homer.
Ball's hit well out to left field. Back is Dahl, and it is gone. And Rhys Hoskins, as he did 77 times as a member of the Philadelphia Phillies, goes yard here at Citizens Bank Park. And it's a 3-1 ball game. It's got to be a weird feeling.
He is trying so hard not to laugh and smile.
The mixed reaction.
The fans, too. They were booing.
So the boo, which was, I think kind of a funny boo type thing, turned into a lot of cheers as you got, further around the bases. I mean, look, they're not booing Zack Wheeler. They're not really booing Rhys Hoskins. I think it's just, Seltzer, how would you sum up that initial reaction, what that represents?
I think it represents confusion and also sports fandom, right?
Yeah.
The initial reaction is, oh no, a home run got hit against my team, and then you see Rhys do the love you sign, the sign language love you sign thing to the bullpen, and he goes around, it's like, oh man, I know this is awesome. And I think it's just one of those, you're feeling both emotions. I was feeling both emotions.
I know.
Someone called it a boovation, and I feel like that's very
phenomenal.
accurate.
Yeah,
right.
And I appreciate that the crowd emerged into the more cheer the longer it went. All right.
And
that
it lasted.
Yeah,
and that it was emotion and it was positive for the duration, and he knew it.
Yeah.
He felt it.
All right, let's listen to Rhys Hoskins after the game. One more piece of audio, and again, 215-592-9494. So Rhys, after the game, sort of summing up his experience with back to the first at-bat, the ovation before the game, his emotions, seeing other people's emotions. Here's Rhys post-game last night.
Rhys, is it tough to go up to the plate with tears in your eyes? Is it fair to say there might have been a few?
Yeah, definitely was. I have to say that's a first for me, but I think I was able to reel it in a little bit, got it right into the at-bat. I guess something about competing against people that that makes you lock in a little bit. But also the guy on the mound's pretty good tonight, so you better do that or probably not going to have too much of a chance.
Is there anything you can do to prepare yourself for that moment?
I don't think so. I've seen it a bunch here. It's just what this fan base has done, will do. I mean, again, I'm just overwhelmed with emotion there. Be something that I get to tell a story, and really, really memorable for sure.
You were overwhelmed with emotion. What did you think of the big ovation from the fans?
Like I said, I thought it was loud. Yeah, I thought it was loud. I got to sneak a peek, up towards our family section, just to see, how my wife was going, and looked like she was probably shedding a couple tears too. So, yeah, it was loud. But that's what this place does. I'm not surprised by it.
Look, I thought it was a special night. I really did. I was proud on all accounts. Frankly, I was proud as a Philadelphian of the Philadelphia fans. I was proud as a Phillies fan of former Philly Rhys Hoskins. I was proud as a Phillies fan of the 26 players that either played or dressed last night for the Phillies, and specifically Zack Wheeler, who was obviously really the star of the game if you break it down. Look,
I was proud that they featured his wife for a moment too,
nice.
on the screen, on the TV copy, because they, as a couple, have done a lot for the city of Philadelphia. Together, they've donated so much time and effort to try to give back.
Look, a great night. We'll take your phone calls today to talk about it at 215-592-9494. There's an awful lot to digest. We'll play other moments as we move through the show, because they were only 3 of many pieces of audio we have prepared for you today based on what went down last night. We'll get to the Eagles as well. They start an OTA today that's like the real one. This is the mandatory one. This is the one a couple of years ago they didn't even have. I don't even know if they had it last year, but
they didn't have it last year or the year before.
Yeah, they were
the first time they've actually done the mini camp.
The real one. Mm-hmm. This is the one you got to show up to. All right, where you get fined. 215-592-9494. We'll talk to Elliot later in the show. Elliot Sure Parks on day 1 of the Eagles mandatory mini camp. Your phone calls throughout on Rhys Hoskins and the Phils last night, and a chance to win a super cool prize today on the show. We'll get to that up ahead as well. Joe DeCamera, John Ritchie. It's 94 WIP.